Hello, good evening. Good evening, everyone. You are welcome to today's online facilitation. Thank you for joining today's online facilitation class. I welcome you to today's class. So today, I hope our day went well. And today, we'll be continuing on module 2, units 5 and 6. 3 weeks ago, we started module 2, and we look at module 2, unit 1, unit 2 under module 2. I said module 2 actually has 6 units under it. And I divided module 2 into 3 parts: part A, part B, part C. So today we'll be rounding off with the last part of module 2. Then we'll proceed to module 3 from next week. Earlier this week, I posted the instructional video on unit 5 and 6 of module 6. I want to believe that we are able to listen to it. So, module 5 actually is titled Occupational Health Hazards, while unit 6 is titled Pollution Prevention in Industries. And before we discuss this lesson, module 5 and module 6 asks learning goals for them. And what are the learning goals? At the end of today's facilitations, learners should be able to define environmental hazards, the misconception about the meaning of hazards, describe the environmental media, illustrate the different classifications of environmental health hazards, determine an overview of pollution prevention concepts, identify good operating practices in industries. And lastly, learners should be able to illustrate technology changes and pollution prevention. So, what is environmental health hazards? What is environmental health hazard? Faith, were you able to access the instructional PowerPoint video? Okay. Instructional environmental health hazards simply means a generic term, for any substance. When you say environmental hazard, it is a general term that is used on events that has potential to threaten the surrounding natural environment, and also has adverse effect on people's health. And example of environmental health hazard would be pollution and natural disasters. And when we say pollution, the examples of pollution would be noise pollution, air pollution, while examples of natural disasters could be storms and earthquake. That's the brief definition of environmental hazards. Now we need to know the types or the classification of health hazard. What are the types of health, what are the types of environmental hazard? I will be sharing with you my slide. We have different types of environmental health hazard: the physical, the chemical, the biological, as well as the cultural. So what are the examples of physical environmental hazard? You talk of noise pollution, the noise, the extreme temperatures, the radiation, while chemical will be cleaning products, the pesticides, the asbestos. The biological will be the mold, the pest, as well as communicable diseases, while the cultural environmental hazard will be poverty, lifestyle, poor postures, choice to smoke, cigarette, and drink alcohol, as well as poor food. So those are the different types of environmental hazard. And I have on the screen here examples in diagrams, in figures, where I have safety hazards, biological hazards, physical hazards, egometric hazard, as well as chemical hazard. These are examples, pictures of examples of different types of hazard. On the chart, on the table, is different types of environmental hazard with examples. Under the physical, we have different types. I've mentioned extreme temperature, which could be heat, which could be cold, which also could be vibration, pressure, and so on and so forth. I also have under that the biological as well as the chemical and cultural. Environmental media, what are they? When we say environmental media, they are as follow. You can have environmental media hazard, which could be through the air we breathe in, through the food we eat, through the water we drink, as well as through the soil which we cultivate in. What are the concepts? The concept of prevention of pollution. Preventing pollution simply involves both source reduction and in-process recycling. When we say source reduction, it simply means that when you have waste that is contributing as pollution, you want to reduce it. Source reduction simply is to reduce the volume or the toxicity of products throughout the life cycle, or you want to eliminate waste before it is created. And these activities is designed by manufacturers and consumers, resulting in what? In the production and consumptions of products. So both the consumer and the manufacturer has a major role to play when we talk of prevention of pollution. An example that I want to bring to your notice is how we dispose polythenes. how we dispose our waste. It's very, you get to some environment that it's not nice at all to behold, the way things are littered. Source reduction in industry. It is important to realize that a high return from a minimal investment by implementing good operating practices is very important. Getting management to commit to pollution prevention is a first step toward effective source reduction. So the management in organization must see their role, must see their need, in prevention of pollution. Because if they do that, it's going to help in the reduction, and not only see their need to contribute to prevention of pollution, they must also be dedicated to pollution prevention. Not only that, they must also frequently do an inventory inspection. Those are the ways in which management or industries can contribute to reduction of pollution. And it is also important to maintain an orderly inventory system. Proper storage conditions, which can greatly reduce material waste from deterioration, inefficient use, and spills. So, those are the things, those are the short, the few slides that I have for you on that, on Unit 5 and Unit 6. Recycling is very important. These days, we recycle things. That is, you want to reuse materials. You don't buy a material and discard. An example, especially where I am, when I go to mall to buy things and I purchase a carrier bag, instead of me to discard that carrier bag, what I do is I keep it. Next time I'm going to the mall, I take it along. I'm reusing the items that I've bought instead of discarding it and littering my environment. So those are things that you can recycle. Another thing is pen. These days, when you buy a pen and the ink in it gets exhausted, gets finished, you don't discard the pen. You buy a refill and you refill it. So and so on and so forth. There are many ways and many things that people recycle now. So practicing a recycling is also a good method of preventing and reducing pollution. In conclusion, an hazard is only capable of causing injury to a person if only the certain environmental condition exists. So someone cannot be exposed to environmental hazard when the environment is not conducive for that hazard to happen. So that tells us that the environment, that is why earlier on the unit 5 was environmental health hazard. So that tells us the importance of environment, sanitation, environment cleanness at job places, at workplaces, at our home, everywhere we find ourselves. Environment, the cleanliness of environment, it's very, very important. And so by communicating the benefits of pollution prevention, not only to the owners, but to the operators of industries, commercial facility, personnel, motivates and prevents, motivate people to work towards prevention of pollution. And information is power, because when you are informed, then you can handle your environment very well. So, learners, this is the short, a brief slides that I have to conclude Module 2. And so, this is where we are going to, this is where we are going to end Module 2. Then we'll proceed to Module 4, Module 3, I mean. So is there a question? Do we have questions? Do we have contributions relating to Module 1 and Module 2 before we proceed to Module 3? You know, earlier in this semester, I said NSC 512, which is occupational health, has basically 4 modules, but each of the modules has units under them. So what I do is each of the module, I divide them depending on how many units that is under each module. So I kind of divide each module whether into 3 classes or 2 classes. So we've come to the end of Module 2. The next we want to go on to is Module 3. And because I have not shared the instructional video on Module 3, if you permit me, I would ask that we should start Module 3 by next week. Actually, this is our 5th week. So we have basically 3 more weeks after today for this facilitation. And out of this 3 weeks, we will need 1 week. One of the slots will be to do interaction, just to interact and ask questions, and do probably ask AOB areas, asking question and answer, Q&A, I mean. So where we'll do question and answer in preparation for your exam. So this is where we will leave it for today, but let's see if there are questions or concerns. Are there challenges that you are facing?
Good evening, ma.
Good evening, Faith.
I'm not clear with the good operating practices in industries. I don't know whether you can summarize it again for us.
Okay, when they say good operating practices, take for instance, in a
Yes.
company or in an industry where they produce bottled water and sachet water,
Okay.
good operational practice will be to avoid uh, spilling of water on the floor, because that can cause environmental hazard, in the sense that an employee can sleep on the floor and break his or her waist, causing occupational hazard. Not only that, you also look at the materials that they are used, the way and how they are disposed is also a good practice that you want to look at. There are some industries that they do not have a good waste management disposal system. So, which will cause environmental hazard and pollution to not only to the workers and to the employer, but even to the people in the community. Because when you are putting your waste and you are not discarding it at the right time, you are not covering it, and it begins to have effects on the environment because people are living in that environment. Another thing is those industries that works with chemicals, the way and how these chemicals are disposed can also predispose people to pollution. Okay?
Yes, ma.
So I hope I've been able to answer your question.
Yes, ma. Thank you, ma.
Okay. Any other area anyone wants me to clarify? Are we all in our WhatsApp group?
No, ma.
We have a WhatsApp group for this course. And the
Okay.
link to join this WhatsApp group is posted on the school page for this course. When you go to the school page, just go to Occupational Health Hazard NSC 512. Then you will see join the class WhatsApp. Just copy the link and it will add you to the WhatsApp group. The essence is for us to be able to interact outside the normal Thursday 1 hour class session. You have opportunity to ask questions. You have opportunity to interact with your colleagues.
Okay, ma.
So I'm encouraging everyone to join.
Okay, ma.
And it's important because you would also definitely have an extra class. We still have an outstanding of one class, which I'm hoping that can be scheduled, whether weekend or any of the day. We are going to agree, maybe by next week, because this semester is fast. In addition to that, we also need to have one extra class to do question and answer, where we interact so far from what we have covered from module 1 to module 4. So next week, we should be week 6. We are going to be looking at module 3. While week 7, we'll look at module 4. And the last week, it will be an interactive session where you ask questions, where I interact with you. I ask you questions as well.
Okay, ma.
Any other question? Okay, if there is no question, this is where we'll end it for today.
Okay,
I'll
ma.
see you next week, same time,
Thank you.
same day.
Thank you, ma.
You're welcome.